Now, the Department of Homeland Security recently came out and said that 21 of our state's electoral systems had faced attempted intrusions during the 2016 election. Now, that's, of course, got corporate Democrats very, very concerned. Oh, my God, it's Russia. Russia, they're trying to hack our elections. They're trying to get into our elections. Did they actually penetrate our systems? Did they actually change any votes? No, there's no evidence of that. Nonetheless, it does highlight a weakness that we have in our electoral system, a weakness that has been there, that people have been talking about, progressives have been talking about for years, even before the 2016 election, 2012, 2010, all the way back into the mid 2000s. Okay, so we've had these since we put these electronic voting machines. We've had a lot of vulnerabilities. Now, in response to these intrusions, Tulsi Gabbard says, you know what, it's great. You guys are going to sit there and talk about Russia. You know what I'm going to talk about? I'm going to talk about solutions. Let's take a look.
The Department of Homeland Security has confirmed that 21 state electoral systems were targeted in the 2016 elections, revealing vulnerabilities and jeopardizing the integrity of our elections and our democracy as people lose confidence that their vote matters and that will actually and accurately be counted. In 2016, DEF CON, the world's largest hacking conference, revealed startling vulnerabilities in our elections infrastructure. We must take action now to safeguard our electoral infrastructure, ensure that each and every American vote is counted accurately. I'm introducing the Securing America's Elections Act, which will not only provide the American people with a voter-verified, reliable, and independent paper record of their votes that can be implemented before the 2018 elections, but it will also address the effectiveness and security of our electronic voting software. We must act now to secure our elections and renew our citizens' faith in the integrity of those elections.
Okay, so that's Tulsi Gabbard. Now, her bill, of course, would authorize emergency funding to empower every state to use voter-verified paper ballots to produce an auditable paper trail, beginning with the 2018 elections. And it also addresses the need to ensure safe and secure software is utilized in voting machines on Election Day. Now, I think this is overdue, and it's about goddamn time, because we have had vulnerabilities with our electoral system, as I said, stretching back decades. So, great. Let's actually do something about the vulnerabilities instead of complain about Russia, and instead of march towards armed conflict with another country. Nobody here wants that. Now, there are defense contractors that salivate at having a new Cold War, but I'm not at all interested. If you're a progressive like Tulsi, you're not at all interested. Okay? And so what we should do is we should defend ourselves at home. Now, if you're worried about electoral integrity, then you should be, like, again, these corporate Democrats, they come out and say, oh my God, the Russia, they're out to change our elections, they're out to destroy our elections. We need to do something about this. Okay, well then you should be supporting Tulsi's bill. You should co-sponsor this bill, this piece of legislation. You should help secure our elections. And by the way, this would actually do a lot to make sure that the Republicans can't also go in and hack our elections, which has been alleged. Now, in fact, as I said, or she mentioned during that speech, DEF CON, right? Now, DEF CON is the world's largest and longest running hacking conference. They found that hackers had breached every piece of election equipment, some in minutes. Even people with limited prior hacking knowledge and a few tools were able to manipulate the voting results. Most of those machines that are easily hackable are used in today's elections. So, and as I said, anybody with a scant bit of knowledge and some tools from hacking sites can change elections. Now, can you imagine what political party would actually want to take advantage of that? A political party that maybe gains more power when there are less people voting. Just saying. Or another political party that wants to keep outsiders from being able to take over the system from the inside. Could you think of any party that would want to do that? So, look, and I'm not saying that they actually would do that or have done that, but that's a possibility, which is why we need to actually protect our elections And really, this goes beyond our voting machine, right? Now, let me give you a quote here before telling you what I would love to see in a real way to protect our elections. Now, this is from Brian Fox. This is a board member of the National Association of Voting Officials. He said, "We are pleased to see Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard leading the country towards safe and secure election systems. The open source software language in her legislation, in addition to the necessary paper ballot component, will give appropriate security direction to the nation's election officials. Congresswoman Gabbard is appreciated as a pioneer advocating the science of protecting our democracy." So one of the problems here is that Republicans are actually one of the biggest threats to our voting machine or our voting integrity. They want less people to vote. They want less people involved in democracy. So you don't think that they would actually go through and change voting results and do voter purges and things like that? No, they absolutely would. That's because they've done so before. All this stuff about voter ID, voter fraud, is a way to try to disenfranchise voters. Look, you have interstate cross-check, and you have things like trying to make sure that people are unable to register for vote, where you have less time to register for vote, where you actually have a lot of restrictions on who can be able to register to vote and how. That's all Republicans. That's not Russia. That's right-wing Republicans that want to make sure that people are unable to vote. So, yeah, we need to do something about that. Now, what do I call for? Well, I want to eliminate the Electoral College. Look, if you want to make sure that more people have their votes count, well, that's the most important thing. Get rid of the Electoral College. We should also do away with caucuses in favor of primaries. So that would be like maybe a controversial position, or at least according to Hillary supporters. Us Bernie Sanders supporters, us Bernie bros, we really love caucuses. No, actually, most of us favor primaries, even though we know Bernie Sanders did better in caucuses, or at least in caucus states. So, no, but primaries are more representative of the voter base than a caucus. And a caucus has a lot of challenges for, people to be able to show up at and actually be able to take part of. Now, also, we should do universal voter registration. We should have a voter holiday. We should end the voter ID laws, as I mentioned. We should also eliminate superdelegates. What we need to do is all those different things and actually try to make sure that more people go out to vote. And that is the problem, is that we don't have enough people voting. When elections are really close and when there is such a low voter turnout, there is more ability for, say, a foreign power or an opposite political party to be able to rig elections in their favor. And there are many different ways that you could say rig, by, of course, making sure that people are not registered, deregistering people from the polls, making sure that you close down certain voting booths in certain areas, creating more longer lines for people that may have to work that day or can't get to the polls in time because they're working two uniquely American jobs. There are structural barriers and physical barriers in place that prevent people from voting. We need to eliminate those barriers. We need to make it easier to vote. We need to make it better to vote. Now, some might say, well, if you want to make it really easy to vote, let's do online voting. But again, the problem with that is that you cannot verify the results. There is no paper trail. And so it's very insecure. And again, anything that's connected to the internet has a risk of hacking. So again, that's why Gabbard has come out and said we need to protect our elections. We need to have that backup paper trail. And she's absolutely right when she advocates for that. So, and look, one more thing that I would love to add is ranked choice voting. I know that's a long shot at this point, but Maine is about ready to put in ranked choice voting. And if that can become a model throughout the different states, who knows, we could end up having that go federal. And that would allow us to be able to make our own choices without having to worry about the lesser of two evils argument, which is used by both parties to have an advantage. So, look, I just want to make voting more fair, easier to access, and make everybody's vote count. And so does Tulsi Gabbard, and so do you if you're a true progressive. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.